Hi, so today I'm going to guide you through a few stretches for the glutes and the adductors. I find a lot of people suffer from lower back problems because they end up sitting at desks all day long and they're quite immobile in that glute hip area. So by giving a few of these stretches, everything's all connected. From the lower back all the way down through the glutes and through the inside thighs. If we can loosen all those off, then actually the lower back pain for me generally starts to subside a little bit. It certainly helps make it feel a little bit better. So I'm just going to guide you through a few different exercises that I like for stretching, and we're going to progress up, so starting with very simple basic ones that anyone can do, and then giving you a few options that if you want to push it a little bit further, then you can. So I'm going to lie down on my back and nice and square in the body, finding a nice stable square position, hips and shoulders. And from here, I'm just going to cross my ankle over my knee. So for some people, this might be enough of a stretch, and you might already start feeling the glutes and the back of the leg here starting to elongate out. If that's feeling like it's a stretch, great, just stay there. If we need a little bit more, then I'm going to grab the back of my thigh. So I'm going to engage the stomach muscles, and I'm going to pull through and draw that thigh towards me. Now I want to make sure that the neck and shoulders are nicely relaxed on the floor, so they're not taking any tension. My ankle, my knee and my hip are nicely in one alignment here. And from this position, I can then use this elbow to gently open out that thigh to be able to get a nice stretch all the way down the glutes here. And we're going to breathe. So we take a nice deep breath in. And then as I breathe out, I relax through and I just try and draw that knee towards me. Now with stretching, depends on who you speak to as to how long you should hold a stretch. For a developmental stretch, you're talking 20 to 30 seconds, but it's entirely up to you as your own preference. As an ex-dancer, we used to hold it for minutes rather than for seconds. So if you feel that you're getting benefit from stretching for a longer period of time, then there's no harm in that. Feel that you're just making sure that you're actually mobilizing those muscles and elongating through. So I'm going to then lengthen this leg up towards the ceiling, and this will then help increase the stretch. And again, we take a nice deep breath in. And then as we breathe out, we gently draw that leg towards you. And this then means I'm getting a nice hamstring stretch on this side. I'm making sure I'm below the knee, so the back of the knee is here, but I'm putting the pressure onto the hamstring, which is a much bigger muscle, so therefore they can take the tension, and there's no connections going on in this part of the body, so we're not putting undue stress in a bad way. I'm just then nicely stretching through the backs of the glutes. Use that breath, inhale. And then as I exhale, I can draw that leg towards me, feeling that nice stretch. And then bending the knee down and then releasing the foot. Let's switch over to the other side. So you want to make sure that the muscles are warm before you do any stretching, whether that's just from a nice gentle walk or just a bit of mobilization, so that you're working the muscles when they're warm. And then this will just help prevent any pulls going on, because then they've already got that elasticity in place to start with. So again, we're making sure that we've got a nice alignment, ankle, knee and hip, and we're not going over to one side or the other. So we're just gently drawing that knee towards the chest in a nice straight line. And then I'm using my right elbow against my right knee to just help increase that stretch. And we're using that breath, nice deep breath in. And as I breathe out, gently drawing that knee towards me. Let's increase the stretch by lengthening the leg up to the ceiling. And then this just helps get the hamstring at the same time. Nice deep breath in. And then as I breathe out, I'm gently drawing my knee towards me. I'm not lifting my bum up off the floor. If I've gone like this, then I'm putting strain in the wrong places. So my back is nicely stabilized. So it's just a 90-degree angle. You won't be able to go much higher than a 90-degree angle, because otherwise your pelvis will be coming out of place when it's in parallel. So it's just to be able to feel that nice length through the backs of the glutes and through the hamstring of the leg that's in the air. And then bending the knee in and then releasing back down to the floor. So next stretch I call a pretzel.
So if you cross the legs tightly to start with, and this is brilliant as an assisted stretch, but if you can't do it with somebody else around, then we can grab the ankles. And so you're in a curl up here. So I'm going to just gently draw my knees towards me. And we have the legs slightly separated. And with me being in this position, so I've got my left knee closer to the body, which means that my left glutes are being stretched out. And this gets a little bit into the IT band, coming up a little bit here. But for me, the only way you can really stretch out an IT band is on a foam roller. I've never really found a proper stretch that works properly. But this is great for the glutes and gets into a slightly deeper area than it does when you're in the figure of four position. And again, we take a nice deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, gently drawing the legs towards you. If the knees start hurting, stop. We don't want any strain going on the knees. It's very much glute orientated. And again, if you can't relax the neck and shoulders onto the floor, again, I wouldn't advise doing this stretch because you want to make sure that you're just relaxing the upper part of the body rather than taking any strain, okay? And let's just take one more deep breath in and breathe out, gently drawing it towards you. And then switching over to the other side. So we've got a nice tight crossed leg first. We use the abdominal muscles and we curl forward and we grab the ankles. And then I relax the neck and shoulders onto the floor and the knees are gently being drawn towards the middle. And again, I'm trying to relax. With all stretching, you're trying to release into it. You're really not trying to fight it. If you're fighting it, then I would say that you don't have the flexibility to be able to do some of these. Take it back to some of the more basic stretches and then work your way up. The more you do, the more flexible you will become. This isn't something that happens overnight, unfortunately. So you will need to progress at a nice gradual rate. Using that breath, taking a nice deep breath in. Breathe out and gently drawing the knees towards you. Nice deep breath in. And breathe out and draw it towards you. And again, my bum is trying to stay on the floor to be able to make sure that I'm not lifting up in the process and I'm nicely released and just controlling the movement through my arms and then just bringing it back down. Okay, so as a slightly more intense stretch, I believe it's called a pigeon in yoga, we're going to come into a mermaid. And you place your hands in front of you here. So you've got a nice square leg in front. Your hands are placed here and we put the weight onto that front leg and onto the hands. Slide that leg directly behind you. And then from here, I place the weight onto my forearms. And then we breathe. And I really like this stretch because this can really I can just relax into it, and I just feel that it's a really nice deep stretch into some of those really deep connections going on in that hip joint. From here, if you just roll gently towards your foot and then roll gently towards your bum, and then basically you want to find the bit that's the most painful. And so therefore, when you found that nice deep stretch, you just hold it there. And again, as you take a deep breath in, release off it a little bit, and then as you breathe out, stretch through. Taking a nice deep breath in, and then breathe out. And actually I can come a little bit lower, so I'm going to take my head down onto my forehead, my head onto my hands, and then I can just really relax into it here. And it's a lovely stretch all the way through the glutes. There. To come out of the stretch, just roll onto your bum and then come out of it like so. And then we're going to do the other leg. So we start with your square leg in front, hands onto the floor, and then placing the weight onto the hands and then sliding that leg directly behind. Placing your forearms down and then breathing. So the key with stretching is breathing and relaxing. And we're just then going to gently rock towards the foot and gently rock towards the glutes. And then when you find that most stretchy part,
you stay there and enjoy it. And we take a nice deep breath in. And breathe out and relax. And just lengthen that leg behind me a little bit more. And let's come on to the hands and just releasing. I'm just trying to melt. Just trying to stretch everything out nice and gently. And just feeling that elongation all the way down the back of the leg here. Nice deep breath in. Breathe out, relax. And then to come out of it, you roll onto the bum and coming out of it there. So those are a few glute stretches. And then the other way, the other side of the glutes, we've got your adductors. So a nice basic stretch is your frog. So we have the feet together. And then for me, I prefer having my hands just behind me. And I can then stretch through my body, and then I can just really nicely open the legs and feel that stretch down the inside thighs. Now, I've been doing this for years, so I have practiced and practiced, and I've obviously got the flexibility. If your knees are up here, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. It's making sure that you're finding the correct alignment, and by having your hands behind you, I find that I can support my body and I can just gently elongate through the thighs in the process. So work within your range of movement, and the important thing is practice, and every day you will progress a little bit further and a little bit further, and that's absolutely fine. Don't panic if where you're starting does not look like this. It does take years to get to here. So from your frog, if we stretch one leg out to the side, and then I just bring the hands in front, and then I can just stretch through the inside thigh here, and it just feels a little bit different. And if I go into a stretch and a point, then I can just, on the point, I can just gently lengthen that leg away from me. So I've got a two-directional pull going on, and it just feels a nice length through the adductor. Let's go one more time, and then stretching it through. And then we're going to switch over to the other leg. So we're having that nice length through. Now my hips are trying to remain as square as I possibly can. This hip's not coming up on the floor there. And we're lengthening through, and we're just feeling that elongation through the foot. And two-directional pull going on here, flexing the foot, and then pointing through. And then one more time, flexing it up, and then pointing it through. And again, I'm just trying to keep that hip nicely down so that I can feel the stretch going all the way on the inside thigh and not taking any pressure in any other place. From there, we then do both legs together. So by taking the legs out to the side, I personally, if I just take my hands in front here, and I've got a nice straight back, so I'm nicely connected through the abdominal muscles. I'm not sinking down, I'm growing. And then from here, flex the feet, and then as I point, I can just gently lengthen it forward. And again, flexing the feet and pointing it through, and flexing the feet and pointing it through. And I'm just going to shuffle a little bit further forward. So when you work through your range of movement, as you start feeling it nicely lengthening, you can just increase the stretch by shuffling to where you need to go. And eventually you can then come forward onto the forearms, and if you want to, onto your hands. And then as one last stretch, I used to do this all the time as a dancer. You could do it with ankle weights on, that makes it even nicer. We go against a wall, and you shuffle so that your bum is right up against the wall. And then from here, you just split the legs out to the side, have a nice elongation through those inside thighs here, and then you just breathe and relax. Well done!